Hi guys, Patty from Patty's Crafty Spot, and I hope that you guys are enjoying the hop. As usual, the designers have nailed it out of the park on creations and stuff, so I hope you're getting lots of inspiration, finding some new creative projects to go ahead and make. So real quick, let me just show you, I used Christmas cheer, and this is a retro-themed Christmas paper. And I created a little personal size mini album that's great for a gift to give in, whether you add photos to it and give it to somebody or give them a blank album. But it's a super quick little mini album that you can go ahead and create. The tutorial part alone took me less than an hour, and I did a lot of talking on it. Other than decorating it, you can build the whole base of this album in no time at all. But before I go ahead and walk you through what I created, I am going to give away this album right here. So one lucky person will be able to get this. However, along with all of the other prizes in the hop, it is USA only because of shipping is outrageous to ship out of country. And this little guy here alone is pretty heavy, so he's going to cost quite a bit to ship out. But if you want to go ahead and win this from me, I will give you a little keyword to go ahead and later on in this video to put in the description box below, and you have a chance to win this. All right, so again, all the rules and everything for the hop are listed down below, but just real quick, prizes are for USA only, 18 years or older. Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to all of the YouTube channels. Helps us out too. And the drawing for prizes will be August 31st, and make sure winners are contacting back by September 7th to an email, especially to the prizes that are won from Country Craft Creations, because Tamara has put up a lot of prizes for you guys. And anyway, I hope you guys like what you have seen so far, so let's do a little walkthrough for this little album. All right, so I have seam binding on the side right here, which is a red seam binding, which as you can see matches perfectly with the paper collection. And I did do a little cutout of right here, and I thought that was a cute, fun little pocket to go ahead and put on the front. I love the little postcards. Those are really fun. And I have a little photo mat right here on the front. Real cute. And anyway, this happens to be 4.5 by 7 is the overall size with a 2-inch spine on it. And we open up right here. Now this album here is featuring all about the photos and stuff. If you're giving this to somebody and you have something that has all these fancy flips and folds and they're not familiar with it, they might get a little lost. So this is featuring basically the photos. So right on the front cover over here, there is a nice shallow little pocket. And I have used some of the cut apart cards. There's nothing on the back of those to go ahead and add into it. So let me put that there. Over on the first page now, all 3 pages are similar. It is, similar, the same. It is a 3-page system here. You can see it. So right on the front, you have a little flap right like this with a small little pocket. This happens to be 3¼ by 3¼ You could go a little bit bigger. Opens up, room for photos right here. So on all the pages on the front part, I did use the pattern paper because I wanted to feature the pattern paper. However, when you start opening everything up, I just left it all blank for photo mats, considering this is supposed to feature the photos, but I also want to feature this gorgeous paper. Room right here. These are to hold 3 by 5 photos. And it closes all up. And then we flip open like this. Again, this room right here, back this side here, will hold a 4 by 6 photo. Opens up, and again, 4 by 6 photos, so you have room for lots of photos. And it gives you a little bit of the flips and folds and stuff that you do like in these mini albums. And then right here, a little pocket. And closes up, and that's that one. So real quick, if you wanted to know how many photos on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, pocket. So that's 9 photos that are built in right there. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So each of these pages alone with the photo, not counting pockets and stuff, you can hold 15 photos. So that's 15, 30, 45, just on the pages alone. So you're going to have a lot of nice room for photos. So then again over here, cute little flap. Open up. So if you want to do a nice little photo spread, you definitely have lots of room to do that. And photo map. And you can also work it like this, all different ways. This way it just keeps everything tucked in. Again, room for photos. Pocket. Yeah. Little photo map. And right here. And flip over again. And then again on the back cover. Cute images. This reminds me of the Jetsons. I don't know why, but it gives me a Jetsons vibe. If you're familiar with that cartoon, back when I was a kid, it was one of my favorite ones. And then photo mats. All right, and then you can see just by the photo mats alone that we pulled out, I mean, look how many there are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and that was just basically most of them having room for just 1 inch, and you can definitely put more. There is a lot of room. You can see that it does close down nice, and you do have lots of expansion here, so you shouldn't end up with an alligator mouth. However, if you do have a string closure versus a magnet that you have to make sure you're lined up. So the string closure gives you lots of room like that. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this cute little mini album. So to go ahead and for the little phrase that you have to put in to win this, go ahead in the description box and just put down 45 photos, because that's basically what you can put in on just the pages. So put in that 45 photos. That will be your key phrase for your chance to win this. And if you look down in the description box below, you will see the next top spot to go ahead and go to. I believe it's Sandy. Not 100% sure on that, but I think it's Sandy is the next one. So go ahead and click down there for the next one. Following this video will be the tutorial. However, if you do not want to watch that right now, make sure you come back and watch it. If you do make this, go ahead and post it over on the Scrapbookers Facebook group. And again, thank you to Tammy for going ahead and sponsoring lots of prizes, sending me this gorgeous paper to work with. And thank you to Sandy for coordinating our hop. She did a tremendous amount of work. She was very detailed, more detailed than I would have ever done myself, that's for sure. But anyway, she did an excellent job getting us all organized on that. And go ahead and hit the next one, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started on the tutorial. So for the cover of the little mini, you are going to need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 7 by 4.5 and 1 that is 2 by 4.5. Add score tape all the way around. And on your cardstock, you're going to cut it 2 inches bigger. So for example, this is now, instead of 7, this cardstock is 9 and by 6.5. So just add 2 inches. That way you have 1 inch to wrap all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and use my little spacers from Country Craft Creations. Now, I often get asked a lot of times the tools that I use. Some of you may not be aware. However, if you click the See More in the YouTube description box, I usually list all the tools there. So if there's something you're wondering what I have that I used and you want to get it, check that first, because chances are 99% of the time everything I use is down in that description box. So I'm using my 1-inch spacers right here, and I'm going to go ahead and set that down just like that. So I'm going to remove my tape. All right. Okay, make sure everything is nice and snug. Set it down just like that. Now, if by chance you do not have the spacers, another way you could do it is go ahead and put it on your scoreboard, and you are going to score 1 inch. Rotate it once and score 1 inch again. Just like that. So now you have basically the same thing that these are going to do. And remove your tape. And set it down in right like that. Okay. So make sure you push it all down. I like to go up against the edges of the chipboard just to make sure it's good and burnished. And you're going to want to add score tape all the way around the perimeter. All right, so I have tape all around the perimeter of that little guy right there. I'm going to go ahead and cut the corners just like that. So if you do not have a tool to go ahead and cut corners, you could go ahead and just trim it with your scissors, and you can see about the spacing right there that I have. It's probably about 1/8 of an inch. However, I have tools and I like to use tools, so I'm going to use that. All right, so once you have that trimmed up, I like to go ahead and just give everything a little bit of a fold in it and remove the tape. And then I like to burnish it up against the chipboard. And then rotate it all the way around to the opposite side. Just like that. And then the edges, I remove the tape. And then I like to go ahead and kind of just smush in the paper a little bit against the chipboard and against the other cardstock, just to eliminate any bulk. And then just press it down. And then the same thing on the other end. Just like that. And push it down here. Make sure that you just square off your corners. Looks good. So those two are now done. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the spine piece. Get the scoreboard. This one we do just a tad differently. So make sure it's all lined up. Okay. Now this one, what I like to do is go ahead and fold, and then right where you fold over, so I'm just taking it and folding it over so it's nice and tight against the chipboard, and just push up with my finger and down, because I want to be able to see those little crease lines. And the same thing with the other side. just like that. And then I same thing with this side. Okay, so this is what we have right now. And what I'm going to do is add some tape overlapping just a little bit past like those fold lines right there. Like that, and then the other end. And so that's what I have. So what I'm going to do is, you can see where, you can see better on this side where your crease lines are. So I am just going to cut just to the outside of that, just like that. So you can see there's the fold line is on this side, and then I cut here. And I'm cutting down to where the chipboard is, so I can see from my fold lines where I intersect. So this is what I have now. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape, or the paper from the tape. And I'm just going to burnish it over. So then right now you can see where the cardstock is overhanging a little bit. That's why you want your tape to overhang. And then I'm just going to push in to get my cardstock to wrap around the edge. And same thing with this side. You can see that just like that. And then I'm just going to smush it in. And that's just that way I don't see any chipboard showing. If you cut it a little short, you can just take a Sharpie and color in the area that might be a little short. Okay, so now the next step is, so we have this, I'm going to fold this over, and I'm going to go ahead and burnish against here. This is where some of the cardstock has overlapped. And I'm just going to press it down. And then flip it back. And then I'm pushing into it because I want to try to get this, you can see right here where it's going. You want to press it into it. Because what you're going to end up doing when you attach these is this is going to sit on top like this. And you want it to go get as flat as you can. Whoops. Like that. And then the same thing with the other side. Flip it over and then just push it in. Just like that. So now you can see like a little step right there and right there. So that's what you want to do on those. Now we need to trim the sides a little bit. So I'm going to use some tape, and I want to put, first I'm going to put the tape all the way at the edge. Same thing with this side. Now you can use glue, you don't have to use tape. I just happen to like using tape, and I use a lot of tape, which is okay with me. So now what you want to do is from the corner of the cover here, just trim back. Just like that. And now I'm going to take my cover pieces, and these are going to go on just like this. So what I want to do is, because of the cover, sometimes if you use tape, tape might have a chance to come unsticky, especially if you're using a lot of wear. So what I just started to use was some extra glue on the edge, so just to keep it held down there. So I'm using art glitter glue, and I'm going to put some on. If it doesn't plug. Okay. Just like that. So I didn't go all the way up to the edge. And if you want, you can spread it out so you don't get it squirting out into the spine part. And now I'm just going to take this and set it on top, lining it up. Press it down. And let that get glued in there. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Remove my tape. And I am keeping my hand on this side to kind of keep it weighted down. Just like that. And now I'm just going to go ahead and get it to stick on there nice. And we're going to go ahead now. I'm going to let this dry, and we're going to go ahead and create the binding. Alright, so for the binding you are going to need a piece of cardstock that is 11 by 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and put it in your scoreboard, and we're going to start scoring. So your first score is going to be at 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, 4 1/2, 5 1/2, 6 1/2, 7, 8, and 9. And that's your score lines with a 1/2 inch gusset between the pages. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start folding. So when I fold it, I want to make sure that I am lining up to the top and to the bottom, or I did that backwards, the top to the bottom, and making any adjustments if I need to so that I am squared off. Because if you don't get this part right, you could end up with crooked pages. And the best way to prevent that is to make sure that your binding is nice and square. And like that one didn't want to play nice, so I'm just going to make it. And then I'm just going to flip it over so I can see better. And I'm going to do that to all of them. So this is a 3-page mini. So I'm making 3 hinges. So once I have it all folded this way, I like to go back and do it the opposite way, just to make sure, again, that I am squared off. And it also helps the hinges flow nicely when you flip pages. And again, any adjustments if you need to make them. And that also helps to know, or helps let you know that you've also cut your paper square. All right. So we have all that done right there. Now we're going to add some tape. So to the first box. And because it's 1 inches, I'm going to put tape on both ends. So that is the first one. Here's the second one. We're going to skip that. There's our gusset. Skip that. And go to the next one. And then our other hinge, our gusset, and our last one. Alright, so this is what we have right now. So we're going to remove the tape and start folding it over on each other. So this is going to come right over. And then this one. Now just because, remember, I have double tape, it's just one spot. It's not two areas I taped. It's just the one hinge. And make sure they flow nice. And this is what we have, just like that. And then the other thing I like to do when I go to put my pages on, I want to make sure that I am putting my pages on even as well. So we're going to take this. So if you look at it this way, I'm going to take this one here, and I just fold it all back. And now my squares on here are 1 inch, and then I have marks for 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to line up and make a little mark at 1/2 inch. So you can see right here, so this is what we're looking at with our hinges. And then right here, so I'm making a 1/2 inch tick mark from the edge of the part that gets attached to the book up. So I'm going to do that on each side, on all the hinges, top and bottom, front and back. And then, like I said, when you go ahead and add your pages to this, it helps make sure that you're keeping them all lined up. And then you just erase them afterwards. Or if you forget, like me sometimes, you'll have pencil marks. Alright, so now I've done that on each end, both sides. Now I'm going to take my 3/8 inch tape, and it's easier to put tape on now. So again, we're going back to this part right here, and I'm going to put tape on the tops of my hinges. And it's easier to do that now before you put tape on the back of the binding, because it's it's more flexible. And luckily it's only 3 hinges, so I can do it pretty quick. Alright, so once you have all that on there, so we'll go back to this so you can see what we have. Now, what I want to do is angle the tape that I just put on. So I'm going to angle it from the edge of the tape, because I did put my tape all the way up to the edge of the top of the hinge. And this is my little tick mark right here. You can see, so there's a little space. But I'm going to angle from the tape up. So you can see there is still about a 1/16 spacing from my little tick mark to the edge of that. And then I'm just going to do that to all of them. So again, just from the tape angle, not the tick mark. Because this way, when your page fits on it, when you put your page on it, let me go this way. When you put your page all the way down to the tick mark, so you don't have any indentation from the binding. So it should you'll have a nice even flow with that. If you cut it back too far, then when you put your page on, it will, so if you put it on and you angle it too much, you would have like a little gap. You can see the angle in it. Alright, so those are all cut. Now we're going to add tape to the back and stick it in the book. So let me get some tape. So I'm going to start, add some tape on it. So now when I add the tape, because of the hinges, don't stick it. I kind of like to walk it down. That way you can get it nice and flat. And then trim it up. Just like that. And then more tape. There we go. Trim it all up. Okay. Now we're going to grab our book. So what I like to do too is make sure go in with a bone folder and then just press in on the edges of those hinges so you get a nice stick of your tape to the cardstock, because you don't want it lifting when you add your pages. So I'm going to take our book and with my ruler either find the center, or because it's 2 inches, 1 inch is going to be the center. So I'm going to go ahead, line it up. I'm going to make a mark here and a mark here, and then I'm going to draw a line. So you can see my line I drew right there. And because this is a three-page book, the center one here, the middle one, is what I want to line up with that pencil mark. So you can see what I'm doing is going to line up that center one right there. And the hinge is 4 1/4, the book is 4 1/2, so it's only 1/8 of an inch. So go ahead, give it a trial run, get an eyeball of how much spacing you want to leave, and stick it down. So remove my tape. Make sure any of the tape part that's sticking up, press it down first, and just press it into, like, down this way, because you don't want it sticking out. You don't want tape showing. So just fold it in. That one I didn't trim enough. Make sure it doesn't close in on itself. Try not to touch it too much, because then you're going to lose it, but you can see, maybe you can, oh wait a minute. See right there, you can see the tape between these 2 hinges sticking up. You don't want that, so just fold it down, and you can see it's gone. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and line it up. Remember, the center hinge is your guide, and you're going to line it up with your pencil mark. And when you got it where you think it will work, stick it down. So now I'm only pressing down on the hinges that are on the spine. I haven't pressed down on the paper that is attached to the covers. So what I want to do is raise up my cover just a tad and then go into where your spine meets your cover and press it in and just kind of bring it up. And that just works the paper in. And then you can press that down, do the same thing to the other side. And bring it up. And then when you're confident it is all good, what you want to do is slowly work it. So I just kind of rock it back and forth, slowly going a little further down each time, just to kind of break the fibers in the paper. And then the same thing with the other side. And press it down, and also you can make sure that your book is lined up. All right, and that is that. So now we're just going to go ahead and create our pages. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started on our pages. And what I'm going to show you now is for one page. So you will have to do this 2 more times to go ahead and complete the pages you need for your book. So you're going to start off with your base page, which is piece A, which is 4 1/4 by 10 1/4. And on this one, you're going to go ahead and put it in your scoreboard just like this. And you're going to score your first mark at 6 1/4. Which gives you a usable space of 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, which is nice for photos. And then your next score line is going to be 6 1/2. And this is what you have. So go ahead and fold. I like to fold it back towards the bump. Again, making sure you're all lined up even. Like that. So this is piece A. And then again, just folding it the opposite way. Okay. So this is what we have right now, and this is what this will look like. This side here with the little extra gusset spacing is going to be the right-hand side of your pocket, and the binding part will be on the left. So this is what you have right now. Now you're going to need to create 2 photo flaps. So you are going to cut 2, and I just realized I made a thing on my thing wrong. So you need to cut 2 pieces that are 3 1/4 by 11. Okay, and in your scoreboard just like this, your first score line is going to be at a 1/2 inch. Just like that. And then your next one is going to be at 4 3/4. So score both of those. Okay. And now this is what you have. Go ahead and take this one, fold it over. These are going to create photo flaps. So, and this also, again, is going to give you a usable area of 3 1/4 by 5 1/4, which will be nice for 3 by 5 photos. And then the little binding part here, so go ahead and get that folded. Again, just like that. Do the same thing to the other one. Okay, so these are all folded, ready to go. We're going to go ahead and add score tape to the ends of the little 1/2 inch flaps. And then this one. Okay. This is what you have. You're going to take your base page. So we're going to open this up here. And we can go ahead and fold. I'm going to fold it like this. So you're going to fold the tape to the back. So you want to see the tape. And then this is your flat part here. So the first one, you're going to go ahead and stick it on right up to the edge. I'm going to open this up. Right up to the edge, and I'm probably about a 1/4 inch from the top. And I'm going to stick that one down. So now when it does open up, it'll give you a nice section for photos. And then the same thing with this one. I want to see the tape. I'm going to turn it this way. Now this one here is going to go right up to the first gusset line, so you're putting it on this side. And same thing, 1/4 inch from the bottom this time, and almost up to the score line without actually touching it, just like that. And stick it down. So this is what you have when they open up. So that will be a lot of nice room for photos. Now we're going to go ahead and create a pocket to go down here on the bottom. So your pocket is PC, which is going to be 7 by 2.5. That will be this piece, scoring 1/2 inch on each end. So that would be 1/2 inch and 6.5. Rotate and score 1/2 inch on the bottom. Now we just created our little pocket. I'm going to add tape. Okay, and once your tape is on, now we need to trim up our corners. So we're going to cut right here through the X part. I like to turn it over so I can see my score lines. And I'm just going to cut like that. Like that. And then I like to take a little bit off the corners. This is what we have. Fold back on each side. And then go ahead, make sure you have no overhang of tape. And I am good. If you do, go ahead and trim it up a little more. Burnish so you have nice sharp crease lines. Just like that. And take our page. This pocket is going to go right in the bottom between your 2 photo flaps. So I'm just going to turn it. You want to go all the way to the bottom and make sure you center it between your flaps. And I have it where I like it. I'm going to go ahead and stick it down. And then when I like to stick the pockets down, I like to hold in the center and then just push out so it doesn't have a lot of bulk on that. So there you have that. So now we're going to move over to our little flap. So the little flap here is a nice area for a 4x4 photo. So you can just leave it like it is, add a photo, or you can go ahead and create a small little corner pocket. And that is piece D, which is a 4x4 square. So you're going to be able to get 2 of your pockets out of this, but we're only going to use 1. And you're going to score at 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. Just like that. And I'm going to add my tape right now real quick. Okay, and that's what I have. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my paper trimmer, and I am going to cut from here to give me a corner, or a nice cut line to give me a corner pocket. So this is what I have right now. So again, like I said, that will create 2 corner pockets. I'm only going to put 1 on the front, but you could certainly use the second one for inside if you'd like to. However, I'm leaving space here for a nice 4x4 photo. So I'm going to save this one for my other page. Now I'm going to take this one here. Again, making a pocket, so I'm going to cut just like that. And then on these top pieces here, I just cut straight back. Just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and fold. Again, making sure that nothing is overhanging right there. And I'm going to take my page on my flap, and I'm just going to open this up just so I don't crease up that. But this is going to go right to the bottom and almost to where my first score line is without going over the score line. So once I get it where I want it, just stick it down. And let me just show you now. Whoops. So that's what we have here. This is that little flap. And then our photo mats and our pocket. Okay, so that is all that we're doing to the front side. Now we are going to go ahead and work on the back side. So we're going to flip it over like this. And we need to go ahead and create our binding pocket, which is the piece that is 5 1/4 by 3. That is piece E. And we're going to go ahead and score at a 1/2 inch and at 4 3/4. That is our binding pocket for the back. So we're going to add tape. Just like that. Now for this, I'm going to go ahead and trim back my corners a little bit. Just trimming them off. And I'm going to go ahead and like this. Give it a good burnish so I get a nice good crease line. I'm going to take my page now. So let me just recap with you. This is the flap right here. So the flap is to your right. And I'm going to flip it all over. So just like as if we're turning the page in a book, I'm going to flip it over, and my binding pocket is now going to go over here. And I'm going all the way to the edge, and I'm making sure I'm lined up top and bottom. And I can stick it down. Just like that. Okay. Yeah, squished it. Doesn't want to go right now. So this is what we have right here. So this is our binding pocket. So it goes all the way through. So now we want to add some more photo flaps. So we are going to need piece F. This is going to go on top of our binding pocket, or on top of our binding pocket here. So this is piece F, which is 4 1/4 by 7. And we're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 3/4. So we're creating a small gusset on this piece right here. So again, add tape. And we're creating the gusset because of the binding pocket, which will now become an actual pocket, and some photo mats on top. So we want to create a small little gusset just to allow room for bulk. This is what we have right now. So I'm going to go ahead and fold. Just like that, and I'm going to angle. Okay. And weird, my thing just completely just paused. All right, so going back to this part right here, this is my binding pocket. This is the piece we just did. This is piece F that's going to go on top. So folding on the first score line right here, so you can still see the second. This is going to line up even, and I'm going to go ahead and put it right to the edge. And take my tape off. Just like that. And this is what we have right now. So you can see we have room for expansion. So we did it on opposite ends. So on the front cover with that little pocket, you have it in the front, and then on the other side, you have it in the back. And that way, if you had it here, you would have more bulk on this end. This way here, you have one on each end, and it evens out your pages so they don't have like an alligator mouth or anything like that. Okay, we're going to open that up. And then the last part is 2 more photo mats. This is piece G, and these are 6 3/4 by 4 1/4. I'm going to score at a 1/2 inch on both. Just like that. I don't need my scoreboard no more, so we can get rid of that. So on these pieces here, I'm going to go ahead and add some tape. Just like that. And then both of these, we're going to go ahead and angle. just like that. And then again, I'm going to fold these both directions. All right, this is what we have right now. So we're going to take this piece here and this one here. So this one we are going to take and flip it up, and we want to fold down so we don't see the tape. And then we're going to take this little guy here and stick it right inside. Whoops, stick it right inside. So I'm going to make sure I'm lined up squared. I'm also pushing up against, I see not square. I'm pushing up against this part right here so that I can see that I'm right up to my score line. I'm going to remove my tape, stick it down, and now we have right here, and you can see I am not even square. So let me fix that. Okay. Don't know how I managed that one. All right, let's take that off and start over. All right, let's add a new piece of tape. And just trim this one back up. All right, let's try it again. So this one I can see the tape. This one here I'm going to fold over, and we're going to stick this in here again. Actually, I think I might be a little crooked on my paper. Okay, let's try one more time. Okay, and now we have that. Well, it's still doing it. Darn it. Okay, well, I'll fix that after, but however, I'm going to show you how we're going to attach this. So we're going to take our page. This is the photo flap with the gusset that we just put on top of our binding pocket. This one over here is going to go right on top on this side now. So I'm going to line it up just like that. Stick it down. And this is what we have. So now the reason we have the gusset is because of our pocket of any bulk and our photo flaps when we start adding things to that. Right here now it'll all sit nice and closed. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and create 2 more of these, and then we'll get them in our book. Alright, so we're ready to assemble. I have all of my pages done. The only other thing you need to do is create a pocket, and this is going to go on the front, inside, and backside covers. So you need to cut a piece that is 7 3/4 by 2. You're going to score on each end at 1/2 inch, so that would be 1/2 inch and 7 1/4. Rotate and score on the 2-inch side at 1/2 inch. Apply tape. We're going to trim it up. Just like that. Go ahead and fold everything back. Give it a good burnish so you have nice crisp fold lines. Okay, you're going to put that aside. Let's go ahead and attach our pages. So we have our binding pocket right here. That is the piece that is, our binding pocket is, where am I here? Is this little piece right here. So on the back side, so right there is our binding pocket. And give it a test run first, making sure you're going to fit. Now you're going to test it and make sure that you can see your pencil marks. Now you may not necessarily go all the way down to your pencil marks, but you do want to make sure that this part of your page is even distance on both of them. So if you're not quite all the way down to the tick mark, just make sure you're even top and bottom. So that looks pretty good. If you do need to do any trimming to your hinge, go ahead. You don't want any tape to show, so make sure that when it does go on, you're all the way down. And looks good there. I'm just going to kind of flip it. Looks good on that side. So I'm going to stick it down. And then we're going to go to the next page. And I just like to take my thumb and go in the pocket just to kind of give a little gap in there. And again, test it out. And looks good. And press it down. Okay, and then the first page, same thing. Test it. Looks good. And make sure you test every page. Don't just assume it's going to fit, because the last thing you want to do is remove the tape and then find out that it's not going to fit and it is stuck. And also don't forget to erase any pencil lines. Press it down. Okay. And we are all set. Now we're just going to add our pockets. So our pockets are going to fit right in here perfectly. Center it up. And I like to go ahead and put my pocket lining up with the binding. I know it's black so you can't see it, but I like everything to have a nice even flow. So let's see if we can see it here. Yep, so you can see the bottom part of my pocket lines up with the binding. So that way it just looks neater. And then the back pocket, same thing. Yeah, looks good. All right. Try it again. All right, anyway, that is just like that. So in less than an hour, I'm almost at 50 minutes of this tutorial. In less than an hour, you can create the base part of this. And of course, I did a lot of talking through this, so you can actually create this a lot quicker. And this would be a nice stocking stuffer or a little gift to give to a grandparent, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, spouse, parents, whoever you wanted to throw in some nice little photos in here and give it as a little gift, either with photos, without photos. But it's a super cute little personal sized mini album, and it features basically more photos than all the little extras that a lot of us do like in the album. So if you're giving this to somebody that isn't familiar with all the fancy flips and folds and hidden pockets, this is a really simple, cute little basic mini album that you can give them and they can go ahead and enjoy. So for any decorating tips and stuff, just go ahead and re-watch the beginning of the video of the walkthrough if you want to see how I decorated this. And anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying this hop, and there's been some amazing projects. So if you're not already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Any questions or comments in regards to the construction of this, just leave them down below. And go ahead, check down below if you've watched this whole video through on the hop for the next person in line, or just go ahead and enjoy the tutorial. Alrighty, so anyway, until next time guys, happy crafting. Bye!